Hey guys, it's Cali. How's everyone doing today? Today is the 46th anniversary of the original Woodstock Festival, and in keeping with that spirit, I've been very inspired this weekend, and I thought that I would jump in and make some bohemian, hippie-ish type of bracelets out of some recycled items that I have laying around the house. And I encourage you guys to join me if this looks like something you'd be interested in. I had so much fun making these. I've definitely been inspired in the past few weeks by watching Rita Marie's video, Mark Montano, Secret Soto, Gina Aaron's, a lot of people. So these look so great when you stack them up. I mean, I literally, as you could see, had a hard time stopping. I wouldn't wear this many at the same time, but it's hard to pick a favorite. And I added some recycled jewelry and things like that. So if this looks like fun to you, join me and I'll show you how I did it. Okay guys, I'm going to show you some of the supplies we're going to be using today. I happen to have a cutting mat as well as a cutting mat ruler, if you will, to use with my rotary cutter. I'll use this to cut my fabric strips. If you don't have that, you don't need it. You can just use a standard pair of scissors and a tape measure if you want. It's not even really that necessary to measure out the length of your strips. I like to make them about 14, 15 inches long. Some of the fabric that I'm going to be using today are just basic things I have laying around the house. You can use cut up clothing. I'm going to use some of this. You've seen this already in a journal that I made recently. Celestial fabric. It's just cotton. I have this green cotton as well. I'm going to try using this novelty ribbon that I got in an auction lot. It's cloth and it's pretty sturdy, and I think it'll make good strips. So we're going to try this. So again, look around, see what you have on hand that you can use up that you might not have thought of. This is a sleeve of an old tie-dye t-shirt that I had. We're going to cut that up and try that out. I have a piece of old batik fabric, and this is from a dress. This is silk, which I'm really excited to try using, and I'm also excited to try using denim. I haven't seen them done with denim, and I really like denim, as I know a lot of you guys do, and it's super sturdy, so there's that. So the idea is to not go out and buy a bunch of fabric, but use what you have on hand. And I'm also going to give a try I think I'm going to try making one just using ribbon as my strips. So we'll see about that. Another good way to use up some scraps. And I also have some other trims that I want to try, maybe just to wrap around when we're done. And some thin ribbon as well that I might use to wrap around the fabric just for embellishment. I'm not sure. We'll see about that. As far as the actual bracelet form itself, I've seen various videos. I've seen Mark Montano, Secret Soto, Rita Marie. Everybody does theirs a little bit different. I know Mark uses zip ties, and if you choose to use a zip tie, just place it around your wrist. Don't zip it tied. Give yourself about an inch extra. I found that to be a little snugger than I'd like, so I decided to use, I had some of this floral wire that I had gotten at the dollar store, and it's fairly thick and, nicely bendable. So I'm going to use this. You can use any, thicker gauge wire that you have. And I'm also going to be using some wire for the beads and embellishments when we're done. And, obviously it has to be thin enough gauge for you to put your beads on. I have a mixture of, cheap and expensive wire here. So there's that. And because we're working with wire, I'm just going to use some needle nose pliers and some wire cutters. I have some medical tape. You can use duct tape or scotch tape or masking tape just to, when we close our wire, bracelet form. I'm using a can of beans as my bracelet form. I'm going to wrap the wire around that. You can use anything similar. Maybe you're lucky enough to actually have a bracelet form. And then you're going to need some type of adhesive, either your hot glue gun, or I love to use my Aleene's Tacky Glue. I use it in everything. And then last but not least, you're going to need some beads. And this is just an example of some of the beads that I have. And this is a good way to use up your stash and things like that. So I'll be using a lot of these glass ones and maybe some, but use whatever you want. You can hang charms. You can really just go where your spirit leads you on this. So I'm going to be back when we're cutting up some fabric scraps. See you in a second. I'm going to show you how I cut my strips. Now everybody does different measurements and it doesn't really much matter. So I'm going to go with 1 inch just because it's easier for me to manage. I've taken the piece of dress material that you saw. I folded it in half, and it does not have to be exact or perfect at all. That kind of adds to the funkiness of it, if you will. I'm going to take my little ruler here, and I'm just going to measure off to the 1 inch mark. And I'm going to open up my rotary cutter, and again, hold down, watch your fingers, and that's 1. And I'm just going to continue on until this strip of fabric is used up. And this should be enough, I think, for 1 bracelet, maybe even more, depending on how thick it comes out. I'm not going to pull those up, I'm just going to keep going. And, again, this is great, super easy project, great way to use up your scraps, great project to do with the kids if, you can cut the scraps yourself for them if they're too young, or if they're old enough, they can cut all the scraps and do the tedious work. Isn't that great? Okay, you guys, so, this is it, and we're going to get started. Look how pretty those are. So that's it for cutting the strips. I'll be back when I show you how we're going to measure the wire and get wrapping. This next part's super simple, you guys. Again, you can either use the Mark Montano zip tie method, or you can use my method, or whatever method you'd like, but I'm going to take my can of beans and this floral wire that I got at the dollar store, and I'm just going to wrap it around and give it maybe, about that much, maybe 2 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to take my handy dandy wire cutters and cut this away from your face. And if you need to be super cautious, wear your safety goggles. Okay. And this stuff is super forgiving. And again, we're going to have it all wrapped up, so it does not matter if it's, got bumps and lumps in it. And I'm going to take my handy dandy 3M medical tape. Again, you guys can use whatever you want. You don't need a lot. It's just to kind of make sure the sharp ends are tucked in. And I'm just going to give that a go. Kind of conform it around. And I'm going to do both ends. And that's going to be our basic wire shape. I'll do one more. These are like addicting to make, you guys. I've seen everybody wearing these, and it's funny, once you start looking them up, there's a lot of videos on YouTube showing cool boho bracelets. But anyway, so there's that. We have it, okay? And our next step, we are going to take one of our strips and just give it a little tie. And this will tie up to nothing. This will not be in the way. It will not be in the way. And I'm going to kind of wrap that tail to the wire. And then you guys, you just start wrapping. And these little frays that are sticking out from the edge of the fabric will just add to the boho feel of the bracelet. So you just hold it and keep wrapping. You could also, if you don't like those little edges sticking out, honestly, you can either fold your fabric in half or you know, even use seam binding, anything. So I'm not going to hold you here watching me do this, but we're just going to wrap around and we're going to continue wrapping. When you get to the end of your fabric, you can either tie another knot or use the tacky glue and just do a little dab. And I like to continue adding fabric on top of this. I hope I'm staying in frame. So I'll add a few more strips to this and just go round and round. And I'm going to come back when I'm all wound up, I'm all wrapped up, and show you what we got. So I'll see you in a second. Okay guys, I finished wrapping and I used all of the strips that I cut, so there were about 5 of them. And then I also came, after I was done with that, and I used the tacky glue to secure it. And I also went around one time with this thin ribbon, which I think looks good against the fabric. Now, if you have a lot of little strings sticking out, like you can see there are still some, I just kind of went around with my lighter, and obviously go very carefully, but you might want to do this next to water if you don't trust yourself, but you can kind of get rid of those that way. And so that's pretty in and of itself. I mean, I would totally wear that just like that. You know, I'm such a purple freak. But again, it's not perfect. It's very organic looking. And the next step we're going to do is we're going to add the wire. And this is how we're going to put our beads on. And I'm going to start with, again, there's no exact recipe for this. The beauty of this is that you can just take it wherever your imagination leads you. But I'm giving you an example to follow. And I'll also link in the description box below Mark Montano's videos, Rita Marie's video, Secret Soto's video on this, as well as Gina Aaron's this week did one as well on some boho bracelets. Hers are different. She did some crochet. And it just reminds me of the, you know, macrame friendship bracelets we always did, and hippy dippy hair wraps I used to make. Remind me sometime to tell you guys about my Woodstock stories. But it is Woodstock anniversary this weekend, so I'm in that frame of mind, although I never leave that frame of mind. I am a hippy dippy, tree hugging, gypsy witchy sister from way back. I was born in the 60s and it never left. So there we go. Enough of that. Here's our wire. And to attach it, I am just going to pick a random spot. Doesn't matter. I hope you guys are seeing this. I'm going to wrap it around once. I'm going to just twist it tight. And as I hold the wire together next to the bracelet, I'm going to actually just twist the bracelet. And that will tighten the wire. And you can see, I hope you can see. And that little end sticking off, I'm going to use my wire cutters, and again, watch your eyes, but we just want to make sure there's no sharp points sticking into us when we wear it. So then I'm going to lay that wire kind of against the bracelet, and this is all going to conform very nicely. And I'm going to wrap, and as I come around this wrap, I'm going to add a bead. And here again is where your imagination can just take you away, but I have some of these silver beads I want to use here. And of course I pick the one that doesn't want to thread through. Isn't that hilarious? Oh my goddess. Okay, so much for that bead. We're gonna go with this one. La la la. Keeping it real here, folks. Keeping it real. Okay, so there we go. And I'm just gonna kind of put that on the outside like that. And I'm gonna continue wrapping and adding beads as we go. So you can vary them however you want. I think I'll add a little glass bead now. And I'm going to continue wrapping and adding beads all the way around. And when I'm done with that, I will see you back here. So you'll know when you are ready to stop, when you like it. So when you get to the end, I do a little twist maneuver again, cut it close, and I'll see you back here when that's done. Okay guys, I finished wrapping with the wire and adding beads. Like with anything I do, it's hard to know when to stop, but let your imagination be your guide. Basically just go where you want to go, use up your old beads. One thing that I do like to do, if your wire is too loose in any areas, you could just take your little needle nose pliers and give a little twist. It adds a little design element to the bracelet, and I just think it's cool. So I'm going to continue on using the different fabrics that I showed you and do different variations of these. I hope you will do the same, and I'll see you back here in a minute and I'll show you what I came up with. These are just beautiful, and I can't wait to wear them all together, a whole bunch on one wrist. So I'll see you back here. Okay, you guys, I'm going to stop right now because I could keep going all night doing these. There's 9 of them here, and I'll show you individually and I'll talk about each one. This was the t-shirt material, and I have to tell you that this was my favorite material to work with out of all of the ones that I showed you. I have to say this absolutely was the easiest to work with, and I almost didn't use it, so it's funny that that turned out to be my favorite. So it was just like 3 strips of the t-shirt material, and then I used some of this silver trim as well as underneath. It's hard to see, but there is some of that navy thin ribbon, and then just some seed beads and random glass beads and silver beads throughout. And I did that wire twist. So as I show you, I'll put them on my wrist, and obviously I wouldn't wear 9 all at once, but they just look so cool. I'm so happy that I made these. This one is a little bit different. This is also the t-shirt material, but I thought that I would get ambitious, and I should have showed you before I wrapped it, but I actually, you could see how shiny the material is coming through here. Much shinier than, you know, this one, right? There's a definite gloss here, and that's because I tried out this Americana Triple Thick Brilliant Brush On Gloss Glaze, and it stiffened up the material, and that's kind of a cool option too if you just wanted a shiny bangle. It keeps the material from fraying, and I'm not much of a shiny, sparkly kind of girl, but I liked it, and it gave some substance and body to the bracelet. But anyway, I didn't like it enough to do it on all of them, but it was just an experiment, and you could try that too. So same thing, this was the t-shirt material. I put the gloss on, I let it dry, and then I wrapped it with some purple ribbon this time, the silver wire, and then these star and moon charms and just random glass beads that I had in my stash. And I just really love these. And then this one is that, I believe this is the first one that we did. The purple silk material from an old sari dress I had, an Indian dress. I wrapped that with purple ribbon as well. Random silver chain charms. And some random glass beads. And I really love this, obviously, because it's got some purple. But look at that, you guys. They're just magical. And they're so simple and easy to make. I totally recommend this. Use up your scraps. Let your imagination go wild. This is that blue, you could see the fabric in the background. The blue celestial fabric that I showed you that I made Rita Marie's journal cover out of. And this is just very simple. I didn't do any ribbon on this at all. It's just the material wrapped with the silver wire. And again, random glass beads. La 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 la. This one's a little different. I wanted to try the copper wire. And so this is the denim. And that was a little harder to work with. Obviously, it's much thicker. But I still kind of like how it came out. And definitely different. And these are just natural stone beads that I had. And I'm not much of a gold girl. But it has its time and place. And I like how this came out too. This would look cool. Now that's probably the limit of what I would wear. I would probably, do like 3. But I'm just going to keep piling them on to show you. This next one is that green cotton fabric that I showed you. And kind of just like the blue one that I showed you before, I kept it very simple, just the fabric and wire with just a lot of no method to my madness. Putting various glass beads that I had in my stash on. Three more. This one, I wanted to add one of my fairy charms, so I did. And you certainly could add, jump rings to any one of these wires and hang anything you wanted. I was looking through my jewelry stash, but, it almost gets overwhelming. There's so many choices. So I just stuck with my fairy, and I did some of these Swarovski crystals that I actually got from a necklace at the auction that I deconstructed and took apart. So these are very cool crystals, and they will catch the light wonderfully. And that the fabric underneath was the cotton batik fabric. And again, like I said, apologize for that. My windows are open and young boys are riding their motorcycles, as young boys are wont to do, or young girls. I actually had a motorcycle permit when I was a young and foolish girl. Yeah, that's another story. So this is the ribbon that I showed you on the spool, the brown ribbon, and that worked out really well as well. It cut really easy. No problem wrapping. It was a little stiff, but that's okay. It conformed well. I used a little of the Aleene's to tack it down. And then when I wrapped it with the wire, again using just random beads in my stash, which most of them have come from auction jewelry or friends of mine. Especially recently, my dear friend Ellen gifted me with a big stash of beads. So there's that. And then this last one here is one I did out of ribbon, and I don't love it necessarily, but it did inspire me for what I could do. So this was all the ribbon, and it was a little slippery to work with. And then I just took this necklace that I would never wear, that it came in an auction lot, and I decided to just kind of drape it around this and let the charms fall. And I like, it kind of looks like coins. It definitely is a little gypsy-ish. So that's where that one is. But that was probably the most difficult to work with, the ribbon. So again, I recommend that you try. Look at this, you guys. Deliciousness. Super simple. All in, supplies that I had laying around at home. I really, really enjoy these. It was very meditative to do it. Kind of no-brainer kind of stuff. So right up my alley. I hope you guys love this. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend, and I'm sending you a lot of peace and a lot of love. Always. Hearts to you guys. Blessed be, and I'll see you very soon. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you did. I make videos very frequently. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.